Cheesecake sound like? You're about to hear it right now.
The whole bit is cheesecake.
And
At
here's what
night.
cheesecake sounds like.
Sensational.
At night.
That's the whole bit.
I'm gonna
with
drink
you.
water. At night. I'm gonna go to the bathroom. At night.
What is it?
It's SpongeBob where he's doing the
At
at night.
Yeah.
Okay.
It's because he's doing that. He's bringing it over here, going like that.
Need. Man, he just.
Yeah, right there. Okay. No, right
There you
there.
go. We just gotta pass the aux. That's all we gotta do. We just gotta pass the aux. There we go. We
Pass
just
it
gotta.
back and forth would be very good.
We can always.
I
put
think
it
that's
that-
very
Hey, man,
good.
Can you
Is
pass
it-
me
is
the
it
aux?
going? Yeah.
Thank you for joining us here, ladies and gentlemen. This is your host, Nicholas Medina and Peter Rico, and welcome to the Common Sense Podcast.
Woo! That's it. That's a nice opener.
Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate it. It's definitely a big dream for both me and my co-host here. You know, this is definitely something we both
Just co-hosts. We're just co-hosts. That's it. Friendship is coming. It's developing, but co-host.
Okay, friendship is developing. Yeah, he can say that. That's cool. On that end, well, we got a few topics to go over as of right now, and I'm gonna pass it to my man here.
Well, I'm thinking since it's our first run, man. The whole idea for this podcast was MCU related. You feel me? That's where all this came from.
That's actually true. It did start roughly from the MCU.
Just you hitting on basically Endgame was ruined for me already before Endgame ever came out.
Boy, here we go.
And that was your not that it's a bad thing. You just I already knew Tony Stark's dead. I already knew all these things that were happening before they happened, and it's because you're like Nostradamus over here doing that.
That's all I call man. I appreciate that, but I would say this. Thank you. I appreciate that. But no, I just like to look at what storytelling is at the time, and what I mean by that ultimately is just seeing how the narrative of the MCU flowed, and there had to be a big death, and you had to pull you couldn't pull a punch on Endgame, and we did bring this up for the longest time. We knew somebody was
And I think that it was you told me in Infinity War, all the people were gonna die. You nailed it in the head, and I was like, dude, that is so crazy. And then you also told me Tony Stark before Endgame ever came out. So that's why at the end of Endgame, I already knew he was going to be the one to sacrifice himself.
Yes, there was certain clues to that. First and foremost had to do with the fact that Tony Stark over the years always had the arc reactor, and he always used to play with his right arm, which is funny because he ended up snapping with the right arm. And then at the very beginning of Iron Man, when he's with the one partner, they're creating the first Iron Man Mark 1 suit, they talked about pumping his heart for 50 lifetimes or something big for, I think it was a certain period of time. And I think, don't quote me on it, and if you do, please comment on here for how long it is for MCU fans or anybody that's here listening that does know. I think it was 7 minutes. And if you look at the time, probably after Tony snapped, the time elapsed should have been exactly 7 minutes or somewhere close before the light does go off. And spoiler for anybody who hasn't really seen Endgame, you need to repent.
What are you doing not seeing Endgame in 2024? You haven't seen it?
I think people have seen it, but they don't understand the historic behind building it.
But that's what I meant. All that you just explained is what I meant with what we were doing. As far as where the inspiration for this came from. Because you had all that lined up, and the continuity of the MCU was incredible. So every time we'd have those conversations, it gave me it'd be hours of
what if here is one theory to go with it, and I think this was great. Here's how you tie an old villain to a newer story. You have the multiverse, which we can go and talk and destroy about. I mean, whether from Kang or anybody else's perspective, but the way that we're gonna destroy it regardless. I mean, it's a fire. Yeah, I know, bro. I know. Just calm down. Let's not set the 4 horsemen. #apocalypse. #age of apocalypse. You know where I'm going with this, those who know. So, I think one way that can tie in Galactus as the next big bad is that you have Thanos going around destroying these planets, and each time they're cultivating this half population. Then you see Galactus come around. He's seeing that there's not that much energy, because now we know from the Eternals that each human you can say either their soul or the way that they produce and the mass population has a certain level of cosmic energy that's needed for these seeds. Galactus can feed off of that, but because Thanos is going around, quote unquote, saving the universe, which he was in hindsight, but us looking at it, it wasn't when he snapped. He's particularly saving the universe, and he's meeting a lot of these cosmic entities. And it can all tie back to the main Infinity War villain, which I think he needs to have a just desserts. Because if anybody who's watched What If, it's kind of like when you unlock the boss as a playable character, they're just like 30% as powerful. It's not as good, and it's not fun. It's not fun at all, you know. And that's the way I see that they could have gone in that direction. Now, mind you, the way that the MCU is shaped today is it's very different. It's
Trash. We can move on from that because
yes, we this is yes, I agree.
that theory, it's so good 5 years ago. Like it's so good.
At the time,
It's so good. Yeah, it's
then I would have loved to see that. I think I would have personally I would have teared up as a fan to just see that, because then you see the Silver Surfer come in contact with Thanos, even at 3 minutes.
it's their fumble. It's their fumble. It's not our fault. We're just paying customers who want to see a good story.
You can even do the voice of the old or of a new actor and talk and let them say like, oh, it's the Silver Surfer, and you just see the surfboard, and you just use the voice actor, and then let it just be Thanos right then and there, and he looks at them and he nods, and the Silver Surfer just shakes his head. He's like, you have no idea what's coming, or what have you, and you tease Galactus in a certain way. But you know, it's difficult because everything is just so think of it this way. The continuity of the MCU used to be like an open what would you call it, box of spaghetti. Everything is perfectly straight on there. Nothing's broken. Not a hint of it is broken. So when you're creating something, you have to break it apart in order to make it fix, right? But there's so much broken spaghetti now. Everything overlaps with each other. It's just a freaking mess. But it's just a mess.
It's because continuity was no longer their goal.
They're trying.
They tried it with these shows, but that's the whole issue. It was meant to be a movie scale thing.
Yes.
So again, this is the part of the podcast where we want to explain this is the origins of where common sense comes from. We could talk for hours on this stuff, but just to kind of steer in a new direction, please rate my top 10 villains. Please give me.
Good.
I want to know what Nick has to say about my top 10 villains.
We would love for you guys to participate with us in this. Remember, the podcast isn't just us. We really want the community to be involved in this, guys. So please tell us what you guys think. And mind you, when we're saying top 10 villains, is this only to Marvel, or is
This is all across multiple lores. This is going to include anime. This is going to include movies. This is going to include a little bit of Star Wars.
Okay, this is good. This is good. And anybody who believes that the top 10 should be updated, please feel free to comment, talk. Let's be respectful, obviously, in the comments here, but definitely we want you guys to engage with us here. Okay.
Yeah, so this little segment is our top 10 segment. And today the topic is the villains, and it's going to be, I want to see Nick's reaction to Peter's top 10 villains. So, at number 10, what's your experience with Attack on Titan?
You know, I love Attack on Titan. I don't know the creator, so you can throw tomatoes or hate, but I have watched the series from beginning to end during the pandemic. Evan Yeager.
Eren Yeager.
Eren Yeager.
He is number 10 on my list. Eren Yeager.
That's fair.
Because if you've seen Attack on Titan, you know why he is a villain. And I'm tired of hearing the Sigma stuff. Tired of hearing people trying to sympathize with him. You don't sympathize with Thanos. You don't sympathize with Darth Vader. You do not sympathize with the Joker. You don't sympathize with these people. They are villains. Eren Yeager killed 80% of the world with the rumbling, bro. That is a villain. Go right ahead, man. Say what you think.
Okay. So, give me that list. Okay, so Eren Yeager, first and foremost, started off as Attack on Titan as a hero, and I think it's great to have a story that you're able to see the hero turn into the villain. Kind of adds to the Dark Knight, where Harvey Dent was basically saying, and you know this, you either die a hero or you live long enough to see yourself become the villain. And I think Aaron was dying on the inside more and more and more. And then he realizes the path he has to take. Spoiler alert for anybody who's watched Attack on Titan. Please go and watch it. And you see that throughout the multiple seasons because his eyes go from this bright, very potential kid to very darker and darker, and then it just leaves. Darth Vader, everybody knows Darth Vader, Anakin Skywalker. The thing is, the persona that they become because of their little heel turn are for our wrestling fans. It's great. It's a great list. I'm not trying to.
You're giving away my list now. But no, I'm glad. I just want to have some common sense when it comes to looking at sympathizing with villains. Is Aaron Yeager wouldn't sympathize with you with his decision.
No, he wouldn't. The reason being is because he would understand the necessity to get things done outside of anybody's opinions or thoughts because he thought for the benefit of his own people. And I understand that. Same thing, I think Magneto would be a great villain in there because of the fact that he...
Giving away my whole list, boy.
Sorry, my bad, dog. My bad.
No, this is why we're going over this because you and I have like very similar tastes in what a good villain is. So he may be an anime. It may not be like a highly acclaimed book, but Aaron Yeager is a great villain because the arc and everything. So he's number 10. Number 9, Lex Luthor.
Ooh, Lex Luthor. Okay, what version? Are we just talking comics in general, or are we talking about the actor that goes with him? Such as Superman the Animated Series. I cannot remember his name, but he played the voice actor for.
Please get his name, and we'll discuss him later. He deserves to have a whole segment on him.
He does. God bless him. Love the guy to death.
But I'm talking about the character in general. Like even there's Gene Hackman.
Oh yeah.
Gene Hack.
Yeah, the original Lex Luthor with God rest his soul. The original Christopher Reeve.
So yeah, I love that, even that version of Lex Luthor. I even like the Alexander Luthor. I even like him, even though the movie was garbage.
Yeah, Superman we're talking about Batman v Superman. Oh, okay, yes, Alexander.
I still like Alexander. I like Lex Luthor because it's just the foil to Superman that I love. That's why I put him so highly.
I think we should see a DC blacklist, and I say that because Joker and the Joker series and a lot of these Elseworld DC movies are now starting to come out individually, whether it's the Batman or anything else. I think we should see a villain movie such as Lex Luthor and how he came.
Why they have not made a Lex Luthor origin story, it beats me.
I wonder what that would look like, and not try to get off topic because that's something I think that a lot of fans would love to see. How does this man become Lex Luthor? What makes him turn this way? Why does he hate heroes? Why Superman in general? Is it an inferiority of looking at he has all this money, prestige, power. He can wield it. He can get physical muscle. If you watch Superman 1,000,000, I think it what? Yeah, it's an anime.
That is a great idea. We'll save that for next time. Please write that down. Please write that down because we really need to. We need to dive into that.
I would absolutely love to. Those films have been made much like Lobo. I think that would be a phenomenal.
Before we go into another name, number 8, Omni-Man.
Ooh.
I put him over Lex Luthor personally just because of the things he's already done in the series of Invincible.
Which is definitely another area we can touch upon within the Invincible universe. For those that don't know, created by Robert Kirkman, The Walking Dead is a phenomenal series on Prime. The second season's already out, guys. The full of it. Not half, the full. I know for all
what a
fans,
weird decision that was.
It was needed because they wanted to have some filler for season 3, but I get it. And we all want more Invincible. Everybody, make sure you guys put hashtag we want Invincible. We want to be invincible.
That's a good movement to go. Yeah, please, somebody hear that.
Yes.
So yeah, that's number 8, Omni-Man. Then number 7 is Cell.
Ooh.
He is such a good character that in Dragon Ball Z everybody gets revived. They've literally left him dead. They brought Super Cell, but it was not the original Cell.
You know, I saw something on this in which they said if Cell was able to train his body, much how you see Super Saiyan Blue now and Super Saiyan God, and all he would need to do is just train, much like how Frieza only spent about, I think it was a week, and then he got his golden Frieza form. And those that aren't aware, when Vegeta and Goku took on this new character, not the Saiyan with the one eye.
We don't gotta go too much
Right,
into this.
yeah,
But if to imagine what a form of cell would be, like a god level cell is too dangerous to even think about. So that's why he's such a good villain.
And the thing is, if you saw what Frieza's potential is, and you have Frieza cells, you have Vegeta cells, you have Goku cells, he is basically much like if you guys ever watch Pokemon Ditto to some degree, he can copy those movesets and he can do it in a way it's his own style, but it touches upon the original and it just improves upon it in its own way.
Cell is insane as a villain.
And I'll just say it right here, he a menace.
Spoiler: Frieza's not on this list.
Ouch. I think
Number 6, Sephiroth.
Sephiroth. Where's he?
He is from Final Fantasy VII.
I can't say nothing on Final Fantasy because I myself have not looked into. All I know is Cloud.
If you have Cloud is fine. Is Sephiroth and Cloud are the
but that's the only character I know of. That and Tifa, or that's it.
That's the rivals. Cloud's rival is Sephiroth. So all I'm gonna say is, if you don't know who Sephiroth is, go listen to his theme song. Tell me it's not the best theme song of all time for anybody besides the Empire. That's probably the only villain theme song I think is heavier than Sephiroth.
Ooh, that's like the Pepsi challenge right there for that theme song. You're really throwing it down.
Number 5, Thanos. He's number 5, homie.
Okay,
Thanos
made the top 5.
It was hard not to. Josh Brolin was so dang good. That's one of the greatest film adaptations of a villain I've ever seen.
It was because of the writing. I fully believe that the writing, the setup, and we can talk about that in a separate video, which everybody's already done.
Hashtag bring back good writing, Disney.
Hashtag don't fire your writers, and then you have the writer strike. And hashtag we love you writers. We support you.
All right, number 4, Magneto.
Magnus.
I got Magneto over Thanos just because I love the X-Men so much.
Speaking of, everybody start looking at X-Men 97. It's phenomenal.
He might actually be going down this list because he's actually pretty good as a babyface. So, I gotta say, he's a pretty good good guy. So he might.
Good guy. I would.
It remains to be seen.
But I enjoy the portrayal of him at. I don't like that word being used with Magneto.
He's the leader of the X-Men. You can't say the leader of the X-Men is a bad guy.
In the words of Obi-Wan Kenobi, from a certain point of view.
Amen.
But
number 3, Darkseid. 2 Superman villains on this list.
Darkseid is really, really great. And this is a debate among many fans who came first, the chicken or the egg when it comes to Darkseid and Thanos, who came first, ultimately the comparison. Darkseid's a really great villain, definitely an omnipotent being. However, he's not as scary as his father that ruled Apocalypse before him.
But Darkseid is a much more fleshed out character.
Absolutely. Was one of the new gods. Absolutely. And depending on who's writing him, I mean, he could be another aspect. Yeah, he's great.
I would love to see his dad, though. That would be amazing to see. More Trigon, more Darkseid.
Yuga Khan?
I would love to see more of the big bads for Superman. Number 2.
Vader?
Yes, sir.
Play the Empire theme song.
No,
Cue the music. Let me see if I can just do this real quick. Hopefully, for those that have sensitive ears, I'm going to try to do the Darth Vader voice too.
No.
All right, I'm not going to do that though.
You don't got it. Workshop it first. I haven't heard it.
Workshop it. I could do Bane. I could do a lot of others. Okay, I get you.
All right, and the last, my number 1. We're kind of zooming through it just because 15. We're probably over 15 minutes at this point, but the Joker. Greatest villain of all time.
Hard between the top 2 because it could go either way.
Greatest villain of all time is the Joker.
I have to agree with that. It's one of the greatest villains of all time. One of the greatest villains of all time.
Have you seen Gotham?
Yes. Are we talking about with what's his name from Shameless that portrayed 2 versions of Joker?
His betrayal of the Joker is absolutely incredible, and it adds to the mystique of, hey, maybe we still don't even know who the original Joker is.
Unless, of course, you guys have looked into the comics and you saw the three Jokers, and it was revealed that Batman did know who Joker was, but chose not to do it for the sake of Joker's actual daughter and wife. But outside of that, the physical portrayal, I think, is one of the best on TV. I really do believe.
best TV.
That was great, and I was surprised it went for as long as it did. But after seeing how the characters flushed out, yeah, I could see why. And I know a lot of people are going to be hating because they're like, well, what about Heath Ledger? What about Jack Nicholson's? And every
great.
they are, and we're not picking favorites here. We're just naming off the TV series and the adaptation. And we Mark Hamill.
Those guys are obviously the supreme.
Absolutely.
So that's just to wrap it up. That is my top 10 list, and I would love to hear off our recording session here to know your opinion on everything. But thank you all for tuning in. It's been great. This is the episode 0 of the Common Sense podcast.
Absolutely. And guys, as we go through these podcasts, this is obviously going to be the origin for it. We want you guys to be involved. Come join us on this journey here and let us reestablish what is just simply common sense. Thank you. This from Nicholas Medina
And Peter Rico.